On this edition of the Left Bench TV, we'll address the state of Maryland men's basketball and discuss the road that lies ahead for the women's team.
We've also got an analysis of the historic start to Maryland men's lacrosse season, and we'll show you how one club sport is providing opportunities for female athletes. The Left Bench TV starts now.
Hello and welcome back to the Left Bench TV, your sideline source for all things Maryland sports. I'm Shane Connuck.
And I'm Keara Bruno. With the top 10 matchup here in College Park, a dominant performance up in Philly, and a historic beatdown at Xfinity Center. It's been a week of ups and downs for Maryland athletics, but let's start off with the downs. And I'm talking about this men's basketball team. Shane, they're now on a 5-game losing streak and experiencing one of the worst seasons in nearly 30 years.
That they are, Keara. The Terps haven't won a game since January 25th against Rutgers. First, they struggled offensively against Indiana. Next, they fell in a last-second heartbreaker, and that was to then number 13 Michigan State. And then they suffered 2 beatdowns in a row by Ohio State and Iowa. Fewer than 13,000 fans showed up for Thursday night's game against Iowa. And apparently, Maryland's defense didn't show up either. The first half was competitive, but the Hawkeyes started to run away with it in the final 5 minutes. They led 57-41 at halftime. And that second half was brutal for the Terps. They went through a near 8-minute scoring drought, and Iowa took advantage of it. They racked up a 77-45 lead. There was just no coming back from Maryland at that point. Hawkeyes took this one 110-87. Jordan Bohannon and Keegan Murray each added 30 points to the board, and all 30 of Bohannon's points came from three-pointers. That was 10 three-pointers for his 30 points. Terps just made history for all the wrong reasons. Those 110 points are the most the program has ever allowed on the Xfinity Center hardwood. But Keara, that's not even the most recent L taken by the Terps.
Yeah, Maryland fans would have hoped the suffering would end there, but no, Shane, it did not. Maryland ventured to West Lafayette on Super Bowl Sunday for an even greater challenge in number 3 Purdue, and surprised pretty much everybody with a competitive 40 minutes of basketball. But they fell in heartbreaking fashion in the final minutes, dropping their 5th game in a row. Only one team has taken down Purdue at Mackey this season, so understandably, no one expected the Terps to be in this one. But then, they were. Down by just 3 at halftime, Maryland went up by as much as 12 in the second. But the Boilermakers came roaring back with a little help from sharpshooter Sasha Safonovich. He led Purdue with 17 points on Sunday. In the final few minutes, Fats Russell came up clutch for the Terps. Russell just missed out on a double-double with 24 points and 9 rebounds. Jaden Ivey was quiet for most of this one, but he was loud when it mattered most, driving to his left and finishing to give Purdue the lead with 13 seconds to go. But Maryland ended up with the final possession, and they went to Dante Scott, who drove the baseline and drew contact, but not enough to warrant a foul, giving Purdue the ball and the game by a score of 62-61. And afterwards, Danny Manning expressed his displeasure with the no call on Twitter, and he brought out the receipts. But that didn't change the outcome of the game, and the Terps now stand at 11-14 on the season and 3-11 in conference play. They'll head to Lincoln to take on Nebraska on Thursday, and since the Cornhuskers only have one Big Ten win this season, that one's pretty much a must-win for this struggling program.
You know, Keara, a lot of times you think about Maryland, you think about like it's a basketball school. So you're going to have people always showing up, students in particular, showing up to those basketball games. And now like that Iowa game, it's like reached the point where people are just so out of it with the team because of his performance.
Right. The pictures with the no fans at the game was crazy to see. It was weird seeing Xfinity like that.
Just feels like it's been getting worse and worse. But if nothing else, one team that's definitely living up to its preseason hype, that's the Maryland men's lacrosse team. After dominating High Point in their season opener, the Terps hosted number 8 Loyola on Saturday. It was a top 10 showdown here in College Park, and I was at Capital One Field to catch all the action. The Terps were just as dominant as they were against High Point, and they asserted that dominance early and often. John Donville, Eric Molliver, and Logan Wisnauskas all registered hat tricks in just stellar offensive performance. A lot of that started at the Face-Off X, where Luke Learman put together a career day. After winning 19 of 25 face-offs, the junior recorded his first career multi-goal game, and then the Terps took this one 20-8. Now, something about this, it marked the first time ever that Maryland scored 20 or more goals in each of its first 2 games opening a season. Here's head coach John Tillman after the big win.
Not only were we able to get a lot of extra possessions, which obviously helps your confidence, helps your rhythm on offense, But to get some goals and then, Luke to get some goals and then some other guys to get goals was huge for us.
And following that dominant win over a top 10 team, the Terps are now officially ranked as the #1 team in the nation according to both Inside Lacrosse and the USILA coaches polls. They were formerly ranked second to Virginia. On Saturday, Terps got their first road game of the year as they traveled to Syracuse for a date with the 9th-ranked Orange. Syracuse dominated in its season opener. This past weekend, they beat Holy Cross 28-5.
It's a new era in Syracuse as former Orange women's coach and one of the greatest lacrosse players ever, Gary Gay, took over as their head coach. We are lucky to be joined by Nick Luttrell of Citrus TV Sports to take a closer look at the Orange.
Nick, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
The era has officially begun in Syracuse. What kinds of things early on have you noticed about him?
Well, first off, I would say his charisma and just his ability to be so laid back. The very first time, I haven't met him in person, but we did a Zoom press conference before week 1. And just asking him a question, like I thought I was nervous at first. I was like going to be intimidated, but he just smiled as soon as I saw his face on the Zoom screen. And so when someone smiles, that's like one of the greatest lacrosse players of all time. You just feel more comfortable asking him a question as a reporter. He brings an offensive mindset to the Syracuse lacrosse team that's really needed, and they have so many talented playmakers that he can use with this offense. And so I just think he brings that offensive mindset and just to build his ability to be himself, which is really cool, I think.
And what do you think it meant for the team to earn such a convincing win in a new coach's debut?
I think it meant a lot. Obviously, you guys talked about the 28-5 win blowout, but I think it gives them a lot of confidence. I mean, you go into a game where you have the #1 team coming to your place, and they see themselves as the underdogs because obviously they are. It's a #1 team they're going up against, and I think so. They struggled a little bit in the preseason based on what it sounds like. We didn't see how they did exactly. They played Michigan in a preseason scrimmage, but again, another Big Ten team. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare against one of the best in the Big Ten. But I think obviously Saturday's a test for Syracuse, Sunday's a test for Syracuse. It's a test for Maryland. Top 10 matchup. I think it'll be really exciting.
So on that note, talking about Maryland, from an outside perspective, what do you think? What kind of perspective do you have about this Maryland team?
Yeah, so I've only done a little bit of research prior to this, just today, about this Maryland team. But I know they're #1 team in the country, and that's of recently. I know they have 3 Tewaaraton watch list players. And I think it really shows how good this team is that they have a defensive player on that watch list, an attackman, and a midfielder. When you have all 3 of those that are on the Tewaaraton watch list, I think that shows the versatility of this team and that they're dominant in every aspect of the game. So it'll be interesting to see, how Syracuse does going up against the good defensive men, attack, and midfielders of this team. And another thing I know, they've scored 20 goals plus in both of their games. They've knocked off Loyola and High Point, who we saw Duke struggle against. Maryland didn't have a problem with. So I think it'll be really interesting. I think Maryland is a very good team. It'll be tough for Syracuse. That's all I got to say.
Well, you'll be seeing a lot more of them on Saturday up in Syracuse. That's all we got for you, Nick. Really appreciate you joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Be sure to keep up with Nick's coverage of the Orange all season long at citrustv.com.
And that top 10 showdown will take place Sunday at noon inside the Carrier Dome. Maryland women's basketball hosted Wisconsin on Thursday, and let me tell you, they gave those Badgers a tough time, blowing them out 70-43. It was Chloe Bibby who was on fire from the start, earning 8 points early on in the first quarter, giving the Terps a 22-8 lead into the second. Bibby earned 16 points of her own that night. Angel Reese was another leader for the Terps with a game high of 19 points, and she also grabbed 9 rebounds. The Terps' defense was strong that night, forcing a remarkable 26 turnovers. The all-around team effort led Maryland to an 11-0 all-time record against the Badgers. And on Monday night, the 13th-ranked Terps returned to the court, this time in Iowa City, for a top 25 matchup with sophomore phenom Caitlin Clark and the number 22 Hawkeyes.
Even without Ashley Owusu on the court, the Terps notched their 7th straight win, with Angel Reese scoring 25 points and 13 rebounds. Maryland was up early and never looked back, sealing this one 81-69. Caitlin Clark led the Hawkeyes with 19 points and 6 boards, but it wasn't enough to stop the Terps' hot streak. Here's Coach Brenda Freese after the win.
Making, obviously a great player like Clark have to work. I mean, those 10 turnovers, making her have to work on the offensive end and putting a lot of heat and pressure on her. But loved the third quarter. I mean, you knew they were going to make a run. Both teams were making runs through the game, and we were able to withstand that and, pull it out for just a really nice win on the road.
Freese's squad will be back for their second to last home game of the season on Thursday. It's yet another top 25 matchup against former Terp Taylor Mikesell and number 21 Ohio State. So be sure to look out for our coverage of that one from TLB's Grace Carlo.
Speaking of dominant teams, how about Maryland women's lacrosse? Kathy Reese's 9th-ranked Terps went up to St. Joseph's on Saturday to open their 2022 campaign, and they did so in beatdown fashion. 11 different Terps scored, including transfer Aurora Cordingley, who netted a game-high 5 goals, leading her team to a 20-6 statement win. Those 20 goals are the most Maryland has scored since the 2019 Final Four. Remember that? That was when they took down Northwestern. And don't forget, they won the national championship that year. This squad has certainly set the tone for the rest of their season. The Terps are going to be back in action on Friday at 5 p.m. for a ranked DMV showdown against number 11 Virginia down in Charlottesville. Their home opener is slated for February 26th. That'll be against the number 7 Florida Gators. Maryland football's 2022 signing class is officially official, and we'll break it down for you when we come back.
We'll cap a record-setting day for Maryland gymnastics, Maryland wrestling's disappointing time in Piscataway, and look into one club sport at UMD you might not have known about. Stay tuned.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the Left Bench TV. And Keara, I'm hearing there are a lot of gravity-defying flips at the Xfinity Center the last few days.
You heard that right, Shane. Maryland gymnastics had not one but 2 meets in the last 4 days, and TLB was there for both of them. On Friday, the Terps hosted Nebraska and clinched their first conference win, and they did it with flair. Freshman Josephine Kogler and senior Alexis Rubio got their Terps started hot on ball, each notching a 9.9, and then came Audrey Barber. The 5th year is well on her way to becoming the all-time leading scorer in their program, as she earned a career high of 9.575 in the all-around. Barber was on fire, earning a 9.9 on bars and a 9.25 on the beam and a 9.9 on floor. Barber moved into the 3rd place on the all-time scoring list, and I think we're all excited to see how much longer it takes her to clinch that coveted record. But that's not the only action we got out of the Gym Terps this week. On Monday, they hosted Pitt at number 6 Minnesota for a tri-meet, and it was a thriller. Alexis Rubio had a clean stick on ball, earning a 9.9, and Maryland had a day on the uneven bars, with all 6 Terps recording a 9.8 or higher. Maryland has struggled a bit on the beam this season, but you would never have been able to tell on Monday. The Terps nailed an even 49 on beam, tying their season high, with 3 scoring a 9.8 or above. That also marked their 3rd rotation in a row, earning a 49. Maryland was leading the way over Pitt and the Gophers with only 1 event left, and the Gophers gave them a scare in the form of a perfect 10 on ball from Anna Loper. But the Terps closed it out on the floor, upsetting the Gophers and walking away in first place with a season high of 196.7. Their 4th highest score in program history and their highest scoring victory over a ranked team. On Friday, the Gym Terps will find themselves facing an uphill battle. They're headed to Toledo for the much-anticipated Big 5 meet, where they'll face number 20 Illinois, 17 Iowa, 16 Ohio State, and the number 1 team in the nation, Michigan. We'll see if Maryland can pull off yet another upset.
Moving on to Maryland wrestling now, and Kyle Cochran's great season continuing on Saturday. The 16th-ranked 184-pound wrestler's 20th victory of the season came against a top 10 opponent from Rutgers. The team saw 3 wins up in Piscataway, but ultimately fell to the Scarlet Knights 31-13. Cochran's big win was against Rutgers' John Poznansky. He's the number 8 wrestler in the country at the 184. King Sandoval also had a big win, the redshirt junior from Waldorf earning his 12th pin of the season. Not only did he come away with a pin, but he did it in under a minute's time. It was also against Joseph Olivieri. He's the 16th ranked 133-pounder. At the time, Sandoval's pin gave Maryland a 6-5 lead. That's the first time that it held a lead in a Big Ten meet all year. The third win was also a dominant one. That was 174-pounder Dominic Salas taking down Connor McNeil multiple times in a 9-1 win. But again, Maryland still lost the match. And that was the Terps' final Big Ten duel of the season. That makes it now 6 consecutive seasons in which they've gone winless against Big Ten teams. But their season's not done just yet. They'll host Columbia at the Pavilion on Friday night, and our Enzo Alvarenga will have coverage of the at-home finale. All right, now let's shift gears out of winter sports for a second, because Maryland football completed its 2022 signing class on February the 2nd and added a few key players to close out a strong group.
TLB's Nathan Schwartz joins us now to tell you who Coach Loxley has recruited to College Park. Nathan?
Yeah, guys, Maryland added to their recruiting class by adding 2 offensive pieces on National Signing Day. One of those 2 pieces was quarterback Cameron Edge, who was an excellent find for Coach Loxley late in the recruiting process. Edge is a 4-star recruit and was the highest-ranked player in the state of Delaware in 2021. After a strong junior season in which he threw for nearly 3,000 passing yards, Edge decided to reclassify from the class of 2023 to the class of 2022. Standing at 6'1", Edge has a ton of arm strength and easily moves in and out of the pocket, similar to Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. In his 3 years at the high school level, Edge displayed his ability to extend plays and make accurate throws to any part of the field. Edge has all the traits to be successful at the college level, even after foregoing his senior season, and he will have a real shot of becoming Talia Tagovailoa's backup this fall. Maryland also brought in another offensive lineman to add on to an already deep class at the line. Liridan Muhezinovic is Maryland's 6th O-line signee of the class, and he has quite an interesting background. Muhezinovic is originally from the Netherlands and only started playing football in 2019. Muhezinovic previously attended Garden City Community College in Kansas and is one of 2 junior college signees of Maryland's 2022 class. Muhezinovic does not have much football experience. The limited film he has shows he is quick off the ball and is a natural lead blocker, especially in the open field. Muhezinovic profiles as a tackle, but with his unique size and athleticism, he could slide to the inside and play guard as well. Bottom line, Muhezinovic is a raw talent, but has lots of potential. These 2 signings for the Terps wrapped up their 2022 class, so let's take a look at how many recruits they signed at each position. With 14 of Maryland's 21 signees playing on the offensive side of the ball, it's clear Mike Loxley went heavy on offensive recruits this time around. Maryland signed 2 quarterbacks, including Edge, 6 skill position players, and 3 linemen. As for the defensive side, Loxley and company only brought in 1 lineman, but struck gold with 3 highly touted linebackers and 3 defensive backs. Overall, this class is filled with players that have very high ceilings and players that can make an immediate impact, something that Maryland fans should be very excited about. And guys, we all know that Maryland's kicker Joseph Petrino was a senior this year, so they addressed that need by getting a transfer from Eastern Michigan. Chad Ryland is going to be Maryland's new kicker next season.
And you know, if you watch any Maryland game or really any football game, you know how important that position could be. So great to see that Loxley's already found Petrino's replacement, ready to go in that department for next year.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Great news for the football team.
Now, a lot of you watching may not know this, but Maryland does in fact have men's and women's club ice hockey teams.
That's right, Shane, and TLB's Ava Thompson has more on how the women's team provides opportunities for female athletes here in College Park.
The University of Maryland Women's Club ice hockey team allows students on the ice, even if they've never played before. Maryland does not have an official ice hockey team. However, students can play to compete or practice. Senior right-wing player Abby Bondar started hockey her sophomore year of college after knowing someone on the team.
I messed up. I didn't feel super self-conscious about it, but it was also something that was really empowering because it's nice to start something that's so difficult, that's a contact sport, when you're at the age of 19, because normally you don't start sports at that age.
Maryland plays D2 in the American Collegiate Hockey Association, or the ACHA. The team is currently 2-9.
This year's been tough on us. We play some really strong teams. We have had some big losses this year, but I think we've never lost our spirit. We've had a couple wins in there also to keep us going.
club ice hockey has allowed former hockey players to return. Senior center player Katie O'Reilly started playing when she was 5, but stopped when she was a senior in high school. She picked ice hockey back up again later in college.
Massachusetts, so we're a very big hockey family, and my dad kind of took me up to the rink this past summer and skated with me, and then I kind of realized, wow, I missed this, and I did some research. I actually thought about doing it before, but then COVID happened, so I just kind of did my research this time, and I was able to join it because the pandemic was allowing us to do it, so yeah.
The Terps are currently closing out their season and will resume practices in the fall. From the Gardens Ice House in Laurel, Maryland, for the Left Bench, I'm Ava Thompson.
Our thanks to Ava. We're coming off a Super Bowl weekend, so when we come back, we're going to take a look at how some former Terps have fared on the big stage throughout the years.
And of course, we've got your top 5 plays, Terp of the Week and Pro Terp. Don't go anywhere.
I need your help asking Jessica to prom.
Of course. Love is like the ocean. You have to tread the
Oh,
waters.
Dad, that's not the kind of help I needed. Hey, Jessica. Will you go to prom with me?
Yes.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care can't wait to share their first with you.
Welcome back, and once again, this is the Left Bench TV.
We hope everyone had a great Super Bowl Sunday, and we know 2 Pro Terps had an especially great night. TLB's Alex Gary joins us with more on that. Alex?
Yeah, guys. We all know on Sunday, the Los Angeles Rams and Cincinnati Bengals battled it out in Super Bowl 56, and 3 former Terps, Jake Funk, Antoine Brooks Jr., and Keandre Jones, were out on the field at SoFi Stadium. But they're not the only Terps who've made it to the biggest night in football. Throughout the Super Bowl era, many former Terps have played on the big stage. Some have won, some have lost. But we wanted to highlight a few of the most notable Terps that made it that far and look back on how they did. First, we've got to talk about the Terp who's found the most success at the Super Bowl. Defensive lineman Randy White and the Cowboys entered Super Bowl 12 against the Denver Broncos as one of the most prolific defenses that the NFL has seen to date. And Dallas's doomsday defense, led by White, absolutely dominated the Broncos. Although he only recorded 1 sack, White's constant pressure on quarterback Craig Morton led to 8 turnovers. Yes, 8 turnovers for the Cowboys. White ended up winning co-Super Bowl MVP with fellow lineman Harvey Martin, which was, and still is, the only time in history that 2 players have shared the award. And we would be remiss if we didn't talk about one of the greatest quarterbacks to come out of UND, Boomer Esiason. Esiason came into Super Bowl 23 hot. He had led the Bengals to a 12-4 record, threw for over 3,500 yards and 28 touchdowns, and he even got the coveted MVP award, leading the Bengals to their first Super Bowl in 7 years. Now, Boomer's Bengals were up against the dynamic duo of Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. So with 2 of the greatest quarterbacks in the league slated to face off, everyone was excited for a high-scoring game. But that wasn't the case, as Esiason struggled throughout most of the game. The 49ers defeated the Bengals, and Boomer ended the game with 144 yards, no touchdowns, and 1 pick. But one Terp that found a little more success in the big game, Jermaine Lewis with the Ravens in Super Bowl 35. Although he was mainly taking snaps as a punt and kick returner, he went off. Lewis recorded 152 all-purpose yards, which included 111 kickoff return yards. Lewis made his mark on the game in the 3rd quarter when he took a kickoff return 84 yards to the house, putting the Ravens up by 17. Lewis's performance was so impressive that many argue he deserved the Super Bowl MVP title. Instead, it went to his teammate Ray Lewis. Now the list of Terps in the Super Bowl goes on, but we can now add Jake Funk and Antoine Brooks Jr. to the list of Terps with rings. Now guys, I know it's great to see Jake Funk and Antoine Brooks Jr. finally getting that ring.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you look at it, even though they didn't get any action in the game itself, getting to win a Super Bowl, especially you look at someone like Funk, all the adversity he had to go through with his ACL tears and stuff, and to be able to come out of college and get a ring, it's just an amazing feeling for a former Terp.
Yeah, it's awesome that they're able to get that ring, and proud of them.
Now we have reached the moment you've all been waiting for. It is time to crown our top 5 plays of the week.
And I hear we're starting things off with a career-high score for one Terp.
Yeah, that's right, Keara. Number 5, we've got the standout freshman of Maryland gymnastics, Joe Kogler, stunning on the vault against Nebraska with a clean 9.9. Can't wait to see what else she does this season.
And we're going to stay with the gym Terps for number 4 because we simply had to put Audrey Barber in here. Here's Barber doing her thing on the floor and earning a 9.9 in the process.
Now going over to number 3 with Maryland men's lacrosse, grad transfer Keegan Kahn. Check that out. Behind the back goal. Watch that one again. The Villanova transfer making an impact. That's his first game as a Terp.
And let's go back to Xfinity Center for number 2. And who else but Angel Reese showing out against Wisconsin? The Player of the Year candidate put on this spin move here as part of Maryland's 70-43 win over the Badgers.
You know, Keara apparently making these big plays runs in the family because number 1, Julian Reese, throwing it down at Mackey Arena, giving the Terps an 11-point lead. At the time, they may have lost that one, but what a big play that was. Congratulations to Julian, our top play of the week.
And now for our Terp of the week, and this one's going to none other than Logan Wisnauskas. Wisnauskas continued his strong start to the season on Saturday, notching 3 goals and 3 assists in the Terps win over Loyola. In the season opener against High Point, he netted 5 goals and added 3 assists. It's safe to say the 5th year is certainly living up to the number 1 on his jersey so far. Congrats to Logan on being our Terp of the week.
And you know, we just talked about Terps in the NFL, but now we're going to talk about some Terps in the NBA as we look at this week's Pro Terp, and that is Jalen Smith. The former Maryland star and 10th overall pick was just traded to from the Suns to the Pacers at the trade deadline last Thursday, and Sticks is already getting some minutes with his new team. Over his first 2 games in Indiana, the big man is averaging 14.5 points per game, and he's reminding people he can do it all, from splashing threes to slamming dunks. It's great to see Jalen Smith getting a fresh start in the association. All right, now it's the moment you guys have really all been waiting for. The right bench. The editor-in-chief, and our men's basketball reporter, Noah Ferguson. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So, who said what? That's what
Yeah, we got a little game for you guys. I'm going to be quizzing you. Ooh. It's a game that producer Stephen Mailing likes to call "Who Said What?" And so I'm gonna be telling you guys a quote, and you guys are gonna have to guess which Maryland men's basketball player said that quote.
All right.
We good? We ready?
Yeah. Yes, let's go.
All right. We're gonna start off with a quote. Here, this is how it starts. "It would mean a lot. That's 5 years of just work. I worked extremely hard on my game, and it's a credit to coaches I had in the past, teammates, and it's just a lot to think about." It's this player. You're going to guess who this player is. And just for context, this player is approaching 1,900 career points.
Eric Ayala.
Shane's going to Eric Ayala.
I'm going to agree with Shane, Eric Ayala.
Well, you guys would be wrong there. 0 for 1. That's actually Fats Russell. Yeah, 5 years.
Yes.
So this is his 5th year. So that was Fats Russell. So you're 0 for 1, but we still got a long way to go. We're good. So moving on to the second quote. This player said, "I like Rutgers. I like they gym." Who said that?
Okay. I remember this quote.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that's a tough one.
I'm gonna go Julian Reese.
Julian Reese.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna give a random one. Xavier Green.
Xavier Green. Well, you guys would both be wrong again. That's actually Eric Ayala. Eric Ayala said that. I
can see that.
He's a good little quote. So, all right. Question number 3. We still got plenty of time. This player said, "It's all about heart. It's not about skill. It's not about who's bigger, who's taller, who's faster. It's all about heart."
I'm feeling like that's Dante Scott.
Let's say Hakeem Hart.
Well, someone got it right for the first time today, and that would be Keara. Yes! It was Dante Scott said that. He said that after their loss to Purdue. So, all right, moving on to number 4. Keara with the 1-0 lead. Shane. All right, this one's a little bit tricky. "I see my role as being a guy who can talk, keep the guys together. It's really just kind of natural for me."
Simon Wright.
Dante Scott.
Dante Scott again?
Yeah.
All right, it's all tied up, 1-1. Shane Connuck with the correct answer. Simon Wright. I thought you guys were going to be stumped there, but Simon Wright is correct. He's a great quote. So, all right, last one. It's all tied up 1-1 for all the marbles here.
Okay.
Who said this? I like that ball we played with today.
Okay. Eric Ayala.
Julian Reese.
We have a winner.
Oh, no.
The winner is Keara Bruno.
Yes!
I like that ball we played with today was Eric Ayala. So we have a winner. Sorry, Shane.
I didn't think it was the same person multiple
Yeah, I had to
times.
throw some curveballs in there. You know? I mean, what can I say? But yeah, it was a fun little game. Who said what?
Yes, very fun, very fun.
That's great. Well, Noah, always great to have you here. Always great to see more content from the right bench. And make sure you guys check out all of TLB's written content on our website. Thanks, Noah.
Thanks, guys.
Well, that just about does it for this edition of the Left Bench TV. Be sure to keep up with all of our coverage on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
We'll see you next time.